I call to order the regular Building Board of Appeals meeting for May 15th, 2025. Can we have roll call, please?
Board Member Paul Darling,
Here.
Board Member Kevin Cox,
Here.
Board Member Bob Hart,
Here.
Board Member David Arnsdorf and Hugh Flack Jr. both are absent. Staff, Mike Lemieux,
Here.
Mike Redmond,
Here.
Juliette Harvey here, and we have quorum.
Okay, thank you. The first item on the agenda is public commentary general. Don't see any public comment here, so we'll move to the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Can we have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
It passes 3-0. Approval of the minutes from the March 28, 2025 meeting. Those are in the packet. Did anybody have any comments on those? I believe those are in the packet.
They're not here.
If not, do we have a motion to approve those? We have those in the packet?
They were emailed, but I don't think they're page 5. I start at 9.
It's double-sided.
It's basically this motion from the previous one, postponing this to the May 15th meeting. So, motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
That passes. The first item on the agenda today is the appeal show cause actions, and it's a continuation of the BBA 25007 for appeal 620 South State Street, Ann Arbor, Michigan. And the process here is first we'll have a staff report. We're kind of summarizing the staff report from last month. And then we'll have the applicant sign in and give us a update on their variance request. And then an opportunity for the staff to respond to that. And then the board will ask any questions of the applicant that we have. Then we'll have a motion on the variance, and with 3 staff members here, it'll take a majority of the one be here today to at least 2 out of 3 votes for it to pass. So first we'll start off with the staff report.
So the staff report hasn't changed from the last meeting. Essentially, they're seeking relief from the tread depth requirement and the riser height. At the last meeting, it was requested some additional information be provided with reference to some pictures and possible alternative options. The applicant has provided those. And that-
Okay, thank you. Applicant, a summary of what you're requesting again today and the updated information you have?
We appreciate your taking time out of your day to meet with us, as well as the staff. Dwight Hendricks is the architect who has provided the updates and will share the difficulties and problems related to our requests. So, Dwight,
Okay, I think that you all have the plan, do you have the plans, the updated plans?
They're in the packet, yeah.
Okay. I tried to make it as simple as possible on sheet A5.0, basically showing the existing plan, the proposed variance, and then the reason that the required code compliant plan does not work, the alternative plan that was suggested at the last meeting. Basically, the existing stairs are extremely steep. It's the risers are 9-inch and, right, with treads, I'm sorry, the risers are 8 and 5/16 with a 9-inch tread, which creates a angle of incline of 43 degrees, which is almost 45 degrees. They're extremely steep, and it's sort of a wonder no one's actually died. They're also old. They're 110 years old, so they have metal nosings with concrete, which are now extremely smooth. So they're really slippery on top of being really steep, and they're narrow. The proposed plan last time at this meeting was to use the regular minimum requirement, which would be the 11 inches with a 7-inch rise. And so I went through and created that in the only space that is possible, due to the fact that the building is entirely built out of steel and concrete. There's no wood or anything in the building. It was built to be completely fireproof on purpose, and has these massive beams going every which way. So on the third plan, you can see that the idea of a second landing at the bottom of the stairs is impossible for two reasons. One is a headroom issue. There's the main carrying beam for all the floors above goes right where that would overhead of that landing, which only leaves you, I think it's like 5'8" or something, 5'6" headroom. And that beam is not, it's impossible to move that beam. The other reason is that there's the main HVAC system that was just installed also runs through there, which would cost a lot of money to move, but it doesn't really matter because there's no headroom. So we're basically asking for just 1/4 of an inch of height variance from the 7 to 7 1/4 riser in order to be able to make a much wider and much less steep angle, and definitely much safer staircase. The whole idea is just to make this a lot safer. This is the main stairs between the main floor and the basement, which gets used hundreds of times every single day. And we're just trying to make it so that this is like a lot safer for all the people that use the stair.
Okay, thank you. Any comments?
I would just ask clarification. So the tread depth as measured from the nosing to nosing of the step below it would be the 11 inches?
Mm-hmm.
That's not...
Well, which version do you mean? Do you mean on the...
What you're proposing.
So
Yeah.
I think earlier, Dwight, I think you were measuring it and not including, or the dimension we were using was including the nosing, and the code requirement did not include the nosing. So we
Yeah,
may
it's-
need a variance on the tread.
Oh, yeah, I thought you meant the other
Wow.
one, the other version, yeah.
No, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah, that
that we were
hasn't
clear on what was
Right.
being
Yes,
requested.
thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is the proposed riser to riser dimension on the tread?
What's that?
Riser to riser dimension on the proposed plan is 10 1/4 then?
No, the riser is 7 1/4.
The tread length.
No, it's 10 inches with a 3/4 inch nosing.
Plus 3/4 inch nosing, okay. So you're asking for an inch variance in that dimension, you're going from 11 inch tread to a 10 inch tread.
Right.
Staff,
Which is the residential code.
Is this is multifamily, so. the building-
No, I know, all I mean is that it's
It would comply with the
comply with it.
residential code, but this
Yeah.
is considered commercial
Right.
because City of Ann Arbor considers this a commercial use.
Staff have any comments or questions?
Yeah. From the proposal you had the first time till now, there were, at the bottom of the stair, there were 2 doors leading out, and now there's just 1 door? It looks like there's a wall missing on the right-hand side of the proposed variance plan.
Yeah, we just, in the last meeting, they said that it would not be required to be fire exit since we already have the 2. So we removed that in order to make it more open to the lower space.
So it's an open stair with a guardrail.
Right.
Oh, the walls out of this, that wasn't a bearing wall then, okay.
No, that was a new wall anyways. There wasn't a bearing wall.
Okay, it wasn't the full height, okay.
No. The beam, the supporting beam is right above that.
It does help to see the pictures. That was a big help to be able to have that in the packet and looking at the alternate solutions there. And also having the proposed plan and existing plan. It looks like you're doing quite a bit of work to that bathroom on the first floor too, to make the stairway wider.
Oh, yeah, right. Basically, if we tried to do the required plan, it would not leave any room at all left for the bathroom, so there would no longer be able to be a bathroom up there. And that's like the main bathroom for the whole first floor.
I mean, it does look like even widening the stair does quite a bit of that. You're moving the door for that bathroom.
Right.
Removing
But
the-
there's enough room, headroom-wise,
For the
to keep
toilet.
the toilet
Yeah.
stall.
The stairway treads to the first floor foyer have to be relocated. There's HVAC equipment that has to be relocated, as well as reconfiguring plumbing in that first floor bathroom, which is all a very large expense that the owners are willing to take on to try to get to this safer stairway system.
Is there a beam at the top of the existing stairway that prevents that top tread from moving closer to where the door location is?
Yes.
Is it right at the top riser, or is it back in line with the wall? Is it section that looks like a section proposed and required, it looks like it's almost in line with that door, where you show the drop there. It doesn't call it a beam there, it just shows the drop there.
I don't know where you're talking about.
So if you look at the proposed variance plan, section K,
Mhm.
you'll see the top riser dimension, and then the basement ceiling, you'll see a drop piece. Is that the structural beam, or is the structural beam closer to the face of the riser?
Can I come over to see what you're...
Yeah, sure. So, let's see, section K,
Uh-huh.
is this the structural beam, or is there a structural beam here?
Oh, no, that is the main one that I was talking about that can't be
It's here.
moved. That's the main one that can't be moved, so you can't move any of this that
So,
way
that's
farther.
So can this move closer to this?
Well, if it did, then there wouldn't be enough room when you open the door. There
Yeah.
wouldn't be a landing.
You don't require to have a door there, though, because it's not enclosed anymore.
Well, they want to keep the door there, that door's been there forever, they want to keep it there just for sound, so that there's like, a lot of sound downstairs. The whole idea of the basement is to have that be the place where they can go crazy, and then the upstairs not get trashed.
Mm-hmm.
Not that those boys would ever crash.
Also a party.
The door at the bottom of the stairs wouldn't, oh, no, of course,
It's always
because
open now.
it's an open stair now,
Yeah.
right. If you leave that door at the top in place, if it's propped open, which it invariably will be, is it going to interfere with egress from the vestibule, or?
That
Because
door,
you had it swinging the other way in the first scheme.
yeah. I manage that facility. My company managed that facility on a day-to-day basis, and I can tell you that that door has an automatic closer on it, and
Okay.
it is kept closed, that is not something that's allowed to be propped open. Could it be done occasionally? Yes, but it's rare, and it's not allowed to be propped open. I believe that we have, well, I know that there's a monitored fire system there. There is not a hold open sensor on that door either that would allow it to be propped and held open under the alarm system.
I know in the last variance, we had talked, instead of having, you're showing it coming up three risers at the bottom landing. I think we were talking more like one or two, and the three of them makes it so the headroom is so tight there,
But that's the only way it would, that's because there's not enough room to go any, how do
Further
you say
towards
it?
the exterior wall.
Right.
There wouldn't be enough room for a code compliant landing, I believe.
Even with a winder in there?
Well, winders aren't very safe. I mean, that's,
Well, I
You mean
guess I
on
might
that
be
first
calling it the
landing?
wrong, too, I might be calling it the wrong name. But if the landing is cut in half, then the landing is turned into 2 steps.
right.
Theoretically, if that were to happen, we'd go from 5'8" to another 9 inches or
No,
7
7
inches.
inches.
So we would be at 6'4", 6'3", something like that, which I believe is still under the required head height for a
Right.
stairway.
Yeah, believe me, I tried a million different versions of this.
Yeah.
except moving the top riser back.
Well, to me, you're not really supposed to do that anyways.
If there's
I mean-
if there's a door there, but I mean, you're saying you're making the stairway safer, but then you're also saying you're leaving the door there.
Well, I think that's, if you didn't have the door there, let me think.
The landing could be really where the door is, the first step riser could be where the door is at now. And you gain
But
3 feet of
if
space.
you don't have any door at all,
Mhm.
I mean, I guess so in theory, but then you would have the whole downstairs open, like there's no sound, there would be no way to,
I mean, you could close it at the bottom.
So-
You're just choosing to close it at the top.
If I can add a comment that doesn't relate to the code, but relates to the use of the lower level. The University of Michigan has requirements for fraternities that have social events. And one of those requirements is to limit access to the area where there is an event, only have one door in, one door out, so that they can control the people coming in and out, check IDs and things of that nature. So that door at the top of the stairs helps comply with that requirement. So again, not a code requirement, but I'm just sharing another reason why
Would that just be to the basic room, or is that for the entire house?
Well, it's where the social event is being held. And so, as Dwight was explaining, the whole goal is to move all of the social events to that lower level. And the way that they meet that code is actually the students. Most of the students that are guests will come in through the outside door, that they come around the outside and come in that door so they can manage that access that way. So it's, again, it's not a code reason, but it's just supports the use of it.
Sorry, but like, that being said, that's the importance of trying to get this as close to code compliant as possible. Because if it is the main thing and you have hundreds of 50 kids, 70 kids, whatever, going up and down these main stairs, that's that's a very good point on why it needs to be as close to code as possible. And so there's no more wall going down into the rec room. That's just all open now and everything. There's not even a lot of room.
The main thing is that in that floor level down there's only a half bath. So people are gonna be coming down the stairs to go to the bathroom for an event.
You're correct about that. The long-term plan, and there were actually plans submitted 2 years ago to remodel the basement that included new bathrooms in the basement. It would be hoped that those would be added at some point in the future.
Right, that's still the plan, but we're just trying to get this
We're
part done.
doing it in phases and because of costs, and there were several issues with accessibility compliance with that initial set of bathroom plans. So that's the history on that issue.
So, one more couple of questions. The guardrail that's coming down on the right side of the stair, is it gone? So that would have to continue, would it not? At least one,
10 inches past.
yeah.
So that'd be a variance on that too.
Well, that's what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want them to go back. And I don't think you'd have enough clearance between the wall and what would be the end of the guardrail. I guess where I'm going with this is, why don't you just leave the stair open? Why put a door at the bottom? If the door at the top is the ceremonial or the decorative door, and that's the one that's going to control sound, why don't you just make the stairs as simple as possible? Because you are going to have a problem with the guardrail, or with the railings. Well, that's going to be a problem no matter what, unless you take the door off at the top and reconfigure the stair. I guess I don't want to have you guys come back, because if you do the guardrail, if you do the rails, and then the inspector goes out and doesn't like the rails because they don't extend past the last tread, then what?
And it has to be on both sides if it's going to be commercial.
And it has to be on both sides.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Because even if this is approved, we wouldn't approve that.
no.
That's not up for
Not all the
anything.
variants, yeah.
You see, what I'm saying is that you're doing this in phases, but it's very hard to start issuing variances in phases. I mean, I would also ask, the question, you've got a big recreation room down there, what's the occupancy? Does the door to the stair have to swing in a different direction because you're going to have 100 people down there?
He said they limited to 35. So
Will it be limited to 30?
Well, so
I mean,
my
again, I don't
understanding-
want to start opening up more and more
No,
and more and more
it's
cans of
legitimate
worms. I just,
questions. But it's my understanding that the fire department generally doesn't rate fraternity structures for occupancy, that under the code, it's limited to 75. I've, not with Mr. Redmond, but with previous fire marshals, we've tried to get spaces rated, and we've been told no. And from assembly usage, I'm told that the occupancy requirement is 75, and maybe that could be verified, but that's what I have knowledge of based on that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, you'd be looking at 2021 ISC code, and pretty much it's the same between building code and fire code for occupancy load. You would be an R2 group, and that puts you also as commercial. But when you have one specific room within that building, if it's a, open space, and it becomes an assembly, if you have over 49, it's an assembly.
Okay.
So it's not, I'm not sure where the number 75 is coming from. I haven't heard of that, I haven't read it, haven't seen it. But anything over 49 is an assembly.
Okay, well, maybe offline, I'd love to have
Yeah.
that conversation from a compliance standpoint, not for, we manage 19 of these facilities on campus, so trying to keep everybody correct under the codes is a challenge.
I will add one more thing to that, though, because usually this topic comes up to me. Most people will come to me for capacities and for occupant loads. Usually I refer them back to the building because the capacities or occupant loads should be calculated with the drawings that are submitted by the architect for the C of O.
Okay,
So it would be very rare that myself would come out to do measurements to calculate and do that. I refer right back to the certificate of occupancy and what it was designed for, how it's listed for what type of classification for occupancy type, and then what the architect deemed it to be, and then what would have been issued by the building department.
most of these structures were built 100 years ago and are
Yeah.
existing non-conforming uses. But again, a great conversation that I guess
Sure.
I'll go back to Michael with at a later time.
In balance with an occupant load is bathroom count. You know, so, you know, more than just egress the way it's a number of doors. Usually more than 50, it needs two ways out of the basement, or out of the space, and, you know, designing it for more than that, you'd have to look, consider that as well.
One other quick question. On your proposed basement floor plan, there's a line that goes across where it says utilities. There's a line that goes across, it looks like an opening below the elevation mark, elevation symbol.
Can I come over to see what you're talking about?
Yeah. I just want to know what that is.
Oh, that's just a wall.
Oh, it is a wall?
Yeah. There, that right there is a wall right now.
But it won't be.
What?
It won't be, or it will be?
No, it's, we left a rough in for a door if someday they want to put a door there, but right now it's just a wall.
Oh.
Not sure if
So you really need the other side of the stair to be open to get to this.
I don't know what you mean. But now?
This is a wall.
Yes.
This is a wall now?
Yes.
Okay, so you really need this part of the stair open.
It is open.
Well, it is in your drawing, but I was
Right.
going to suggest something else as far as the railing situation.
Oh.
But obviously, that's not going to work because you need this open to get to this. And you need this door because this is a mechanical room,
Well, it's, mechanical laundry, whatever.
or whatever, it's a utility room.
Right, utility
So you
room, yeah.
have to limit access to it.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Since you were talking, I did come up with one possible, if you, okay, where you're at.
Yeah.
Wait, where am I? If you made this bottom, there is enough headroom for one step. If you made this one step, then the railing could go the 10 inches going that way. The railing that's coming down here.
Turns the corner.
Turn the corner. And then the other problem with the two steps was that it came too close to blocking this mean of egress. So if you just had, if you made this bottom one just 7 inches, and then you had the railing go that way, then it would work.
Okay.
And that also gives you the headroom you need at the landing, and
Right.
get you underneath the bathroom sink. Seems like it helps you.
Right.
But it doesn't change the overall geometry of the stair if you add the extra. No, you're still stuck with,
If you took
The
one foot to the
variance.
bottom, you'd have to add
Yeah,
two to the top.
we would still need the variance, but then it would solve the handrail.
Okay.
problem.
If you got rid of the door at the top of the stairs from the back, that would be the only thing that would change,
Help you in
The depth.
geometry, yeah.
right?
What depth?
The nosing to nosing.
I don't actually know if, since there's 17 times, well, no, I don't think that would work now.
It should work, because if you take 2 steps up the bottom, 2 bars up the bottom, you get 2 bars to the top, and that would fit in the space that you have.
You mean which version are you talking about? The third version?
The code compliant proposed version.
Oh, right.
I mean, if you took off 2 steps here, you'd add 2 steps to the top, and it would fit there. And these 2 would come off, and they would basically go there.
Even if you got rid of the door.
Yeah, get rid of the door, yeah. Mhm.
You definitely don't want to get rid of the door.
Could you build a wall in the basement where you have a door at the bottom of the stairs?
No, because then that would block the means of egress on that. So you go down, or I can show you better than explain it.
Yeah, I mean.
So if you go down,
Couldn't do something like this and then just fill this in with a wall, then you lose all the opening.
then you're going through 2 doors to, this is the main egress door.
Okay, so I mean, so then if this door just swung this way, since nothing's right there, and this is the egress door out, you're running out this way. Every door is being pushed open. Going that way, you have a solid wall for no noise coming upstairs. You better insulation, because this is all gonna be blocked off here with sound insulation. And then the upstairs will just be left open. You can tuck that stair back, add 2 steps to your drawing, and
I don't think we can move, now that you're saying this, or, let me look at this real quick.
And there's doors here too, that could be the sound
There's
doors.
another beam in the ceiling that's right at the base of this, where the stairs start going down. Right above.
your column and things.
Okay, so there's the landing right there.
Yeah,
There's another beam that's going, here, let me draw. There's a beam that's going, another beam that's carrying all of this part of the building on the floor above. So that's why the stairs start there. So that you can't get rid of that.
Oh, so that's,
You can't move the stairs back.
That's why I actually had a
That was your
question first,
question.
because I lined up with the
Right,
horizon, you
Yeah,
said
where was
no.
that beam?
where is that beam? So the beam is
There's
really.
2, but there's another one.
You need to show us in the drawing there, because it's not clear.
Well, I thought it showed in there.
So there's a beam right here.
Oh,
because it looks like that beam is further back on this column line that you're showing in variance to code every single one.
it, maybe.
It looks like you have a good,
2 feet, 2 treads.
you're not wrong.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
I mean, I'd have to go there and measure it to find out. I know there's another one of those big beams right there, so.
I would suggest starting with a structural drawing that shows where all the beams are at, because that way would give us information, and then do what we can and can't move.
And honestly, we're trying to make this pass, right?
No,
Like, we're not trying to say
I
no.
appreciate what you're doing.
And-
We aren't
Like,
taking,
we're digging deep here to try to help.
To understand what the barriers and what the limits are.
Like, because like, of course, it's not just the stairs, it's the handrails, it's everything, and having that amount of occupancy going down there and things like that.
I don't think that they're gonna want to have. I'm trying to think. I don't think they're gonna wanna have that opening at the top.
So I understand that, like, they don't want it.
So there is 2 doors on the first floor that go into between the main hall and that stairway. Could those be the sound doors? You have doors right here. That could be the sound isolation doors. Take that door off, and these could be doors that are closed, that separates the sound. That way you can come up, use the toilet room.
Well, this staircase is open to the entire building.
Yeah. So when you go
So-
upstairs, those rooms all have doors in them, right?
Yeah.
They're all sleeping rooms. Okay?
Right.
You don't have a second floor plan, but yeah.
So I truly think your best bet is to create a door at the bottom of the stairs. And if you move that stair back to meet the beam, to try to create, because even if we approve it as is, your next problem is going to be handled.
Yeah, but if we
And
move, just do this,
the step going off to the side, correct?
Yeah.
But if we approve this, so there's nothing to approve then for today, correct? Like we need that plan that you would approve. So if you do the step off to the side and you do those things, perfectly fine. But that's the plan we need in order to approve.
And
Because, we can't,
I just want to add, with
Yeah.
the extent we're talking about changing these plans, it's going to require a new review. We're talking about a new plan review. We're talking about reconfiguring, just that'll be an element that'll need to happen with the amount of changes that are being discussed.
clarification. With the proposed variance plan, if the step was on there, that's what you're saying. So to go from what the existing is, and now if we say the proposed variance plan would be approved with the step and the handrails all being in the same right area, it would need that.
So it would need to come in for review. We would evaluate it. If there were non-compliant elements found, the applicant would be informed, and then if they would have the opportunity to come back to the board.
So the city didn't even get a chance to review this.
This was reviewed, and what they're appealing now is
The rule.
they're appealing what we found on plan review. So they submitted their proposed plan was sort of their last, what they gave us last time, saying that they needed the variance from the width and riser height, and that was the part that was evaluated. If there's a reconfiguration, we just need to look at it to do a plan review, and then when the elements that aren't compliant are identified, then it would come back here. In order for us to be able to inspect it, to get a clear approval, if the variance is approved, we just need something to go by. As it is right now with the changes we're talking about, I'd have no way to instruct somebody in the field of how to inspect what was approved.
So on your review, did you guys catch the handrail scenario?
I don't know. All that I know is that the only variance that was requested was this.
Sure. Do they red flag the handrail?
I don't believe so. But may I ask a code interpretation question? And I'm not sure if this is building code or housing code, but where that door is at the top of the stairs, that's a fire-rated stairway that goes up.
Not enclosed now, it's open on the bottom.
Yeah, so that, if it's fire rated, then this plan doesn't work.
Okay, so there's a stairway and there's fire-rated doors at every level, and the door that's at the top of the stairs is a fire-rated door
It's got
currently.
glass in it now.
I'm sorry?
It's got glass in it now.
Well, it was, again, that's probably a non-conforming use based on the time that it has been there. But what I'm trying to get at is if we remove that door, are we violating some other code or creating another problem that we have to solve? Or is there a way to keep the door and we just take the,
But your variance plan destroyed the fire rating in that room by having the stairwell.
No, we're talking about the main
it's the
stair,
it's
the
the
main
stair tower
staircase.
that comes in at the top of the stair
Oh,
from this room.
first floor up?
Yes.
First floor, not, well, wouldn't the basement, would that have to be a fire rated assembly?
So we're getting to a point where I don't know the building well enough
Yeah.
to start
Right.
making these,
Okay.
Enough information.
So-
just speaking to it. If the plan is changing significantly, we'll take a plan in, we'll re-review it, and then that would sort of be the step forward with the amount that we're talking about changing at this point.
As much as we would like to resolve this today with the reconfiguration we're talking again, can we request another 60-day tabling and provide more information and research this door issue and come back again?
I definitely think it's a good idea for you.
You brought up good points, valid points.
And again, we're just trying to get this to a yes for you
If-
guys,
I
right?
get it.
Like,
I've been on that side of
we're not
the seat
we're not trying to be
before,
hard on
so,
it, but
And on-
we understand.
On our end, we'll work with you to get a review done as quickly as possible if you're giving us something that needs that, so that we can get back here. I will mention that next month's meeting is on a holiday, so it was going to be canceled. So it would be the following one, Juneteenth.
Oh, Juneteenth.
Oh.
I didn't know the exact date, so. Okay. So, you know, so you mentioned the business about the rating. I mean, from the beginning, it didn't, to me, it didn't make sense to have a rated stair from the basement to the lobby if the lobby or the vestibule itself is not rated. If you have a rated stair, it usually has to discharge into a rated corridor or something else
You went to the outside.
or directly to the outside. So that took away that rating requirement, which presumably made things a little bit easier. As far as the rest of the stair, open stair to the, how many floors are in this building?
3.
3 floors
Three?
plus the basement.
And I think that the doors may help you with, would be passage of smoke.
Yeah, I don't, you're probably right, that however this was passed eons ago, they did what they did to make it,
My understanding was,
Conscionable.
when the housing code first came in 1978, all of these old buildings had to go through a series of variances to come as close to compliance at
Right.
that time. So there's a bunch of things that don't meet code, but have been allowed to be non-conforming uses. And when we go through the housing code inspections, these sorts of things come up.
Yeah.
So, just,
Yeah, I mean, the housing code, we would be on my door that it does not fire, technically fire rated with UL label, but it had glass in there, so it may stop smoke from moving, but it was not gonna stop fire. you know,
Right,
so
it's chicken wire glass, so at one time, it may have been allowed.
Yeah.
And now it's only a small proportion that's allowed for a fire-rated door, but
Yeah,
then they've got access.
yeah, but I mean, if you're doing all this work and you still don't have any bathrooms down there, they well, how does the space really function, you know?
I get it.
One other thing, with the questions about fire ratings and required stairways, when you prepare your plan, if you could just address that so we know what we're looking at when you, with whatever you resubmit, just give us the layout of what's required so that we know that too for review. And it'll clear up some additional questions that have been brought up.
I have one request, if you're going to table this and represent, can you come up with an occupancy load for the lower floor?
Okay.
Proposed, whatever. yeah.
Proposed occupancy load.
Maybe it should be less than 49, or 49 or less, because of the number of exits you have, but yes, that would be.
Because that could
Well-
affect,
Okay. It's reasonable to look into that.
yeah.
also, I mean, I would just say double check fire routes and door swings and stuff like that.
That was in the version, whatever, how many times ago?
That was originally submitted, I believe. But,
And that showed the stair rating, or that basements are being fire rated, is that right?
Yeah, it showed the paths, the paths of egress and
Yeah.
all that.
And did that fire rating go through the stairway on the back of the house? Does that go through the pairs of doors and all the way to the outside? Did that rating you're talking about for the stairway include that extension all the way to the outside?
I don't know which one you mean.
the kitchen stairs.
You're saying
Oh,
the stair was rated, did that rating also wrap around, you know, all that?
No,
It stopped here.
This one and
This is, they gave us a different packet.
Those are the required exits.
You're on the first floor.
Yeah, so I was wondering when you got to hear, the fire rating, this was the first floor. You know, if you were rating this stairway, did that rating all, would that also include that stairway? Where does your fire
No,
rating
they were,
stop?
we weren't using this stair for the
Egress.
egress in the basement.
Okay,
Because there's the two that go directly out. One that goes directly right to the
Okay.
outside, and then the other one.
so you're communicating stair basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Or,
Oh, we were just
Yeah.
Are the other stairs over there, does this stair have the rising one that meets code?
Nope.
No?
Is that like in a future plan too?
Nope,
No.
there's no way that one can work.
Okay.
There's not enough room.
So again, we're not trying to be difficult, we're just trying to help you guys get to that point. If you guys want to table it for another 60 days, it would be June 10th and then July meeting, unless you guys have a special request for a meeting
Thing on the upside.
to
Well,
get it
this would
done.
mean that we can't build it this summer.
It's nice to know that this is.
I understand, but
It's a utility.
given other timing and other, unless
That might have to be smoke tight.
you work magic with the owners to come up with a code compliant plan, I don't.
You
see
can
another
always
option.
request a special meeting, I think.
That's what we did the last, the first meeting was, the April meeting was, or the first meeting we had was a special meeting, yeah. It was-
I had heard initially that you wanted to table it for 60 days, so that would be
Well, that,
July anyways, but if we need to put together a meeting for, put together a meeting for June, the initial plan was to cancel the June meeting, but if you think you can be ready, we can just reschedule it for a different day that month. It'll probably be in the third week.
The other thing here is that, sorry, that's way too close. If you come up with a plan and it actually works, you don't have to come back
You
here.
don't need a variance.
we understand.
And so
We wouldn't be
it's
here
just
if
a
we don't.
review by you and you're
Good
done.
point.
And it all works.
Yeah, yeah.
It was nice
It
meeting
wouldn't,
you
it wouldn't
guys.
work with the bathroom, though, I don't think.
If-
No, wouldn't, no.
Right. So you can request a special meeting again. You could, if it works, you don't have to come back. I know, of course, everyone's moving out this summer, and the summer is the best time to get all this stuff done. But see what you guys can come up with and go from there.
Understood. If we could request 60 days, and if there's an opportunity for a special meeting, I'll address that with Ms. Harpy.
Thank you.
And then if you let me know directly when you've submitted that plan, I can make sure that we give it a quick review.
Thank you, Michael, I appreciate that.
So we would need a motion to table.
Motion to table.
For duration, 60 days? For 60 days?
For 60 days, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Motion to table for 60 days.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Tabling is passed.
Thank you all for your time and trying to make this work for us. Appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned at 2:18.